and we will get this thing started. So with that, listen, everyone, thank you for joining this call. We did an internal call with the INDATEL membership to talk about CRM and automation and things that we could do collectively to help, run our businesses a little more efficiently, have better insight, improve our operations. And one of the common themes that kept coming up was SalesForce and automation with that. So I asked one of our partners if they would be comfortable presenting the proposal management tool that they've developed along with the salesforce.com to our membership. And so Brian Hadaway is joining us today, and I believe, Brian, you'll be doing most of the talking, correct?
For this part, yeah.
All right, very well. So listen, everyone, Brian, I don't want to steal his thunder. I'll let him tell you about what they're doing, how they've helped us, and how they can help others as well that are in our industry. So with that, Brian, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
Okay, great. Thanks. I'll let you kind of flip over the next screen, and I'll do some kind of just quick introduction type stuff here, just to tell you a little bit about who we are. So we're a Salesforce implementation partner. We've been doing Salesforce since 2004. We are rated as a silver partner with Salesforce, and so we've been doing Salesforce for a long time and have a lot of developer experience on our team. And so what that's let us do is we've been able to do a lot of things where we can help consult with people and help them implement Salesforce, but it also helps us leverage some of the skills that we have in terms of being able to create some products. Yeah. And so I don't want to drain through a whole bunch of things here, but we try and create some kind of specialized applications that really help some of our industry partners actually dominate their markets through leveraging the technology in Salesforce and applying the automation that's in there. And so we have a couple of examples of that. We have a product called Checklist that we've deployed in the manufacturing sector that basically automates production line inspection. And it's really kind of revolutionized a couple of clients that we've deployed that with. And then we also have another tool that we have. It's called Spreadsheet Muncher. And we actually leverage the Spreadsheet Muncher as part of our proposal management tool. But it's something that automates data entry for hundreds of data points. And we've actually automated a specialty steel manufacturer to help get their business into a place where they can quickly provide quotes for their customers. And so we wanted to leverage that a little bit, and we'll talk to you today about our proposal management tool. And the specific use case here is really we want to be able to help automate the proposal flow end to end throughout the telecom industry associations that you guys all represent. And so that's really what we wanted to talk about today, but I wanted to kind of just give you a little bit of a history of who we are. So what is the proposal management tool? And I know Justin's probably talked a little bit about this to some of you as you go through this. And really what we're trying to do here is we want to be able to automate the process. So we want to automate the import of a proposal request. So it's basically loading up all of the locations, and we're going to put it into the proposal management command center, the proposal management tool that we have here. And so that's kind of the blue screen. We're kind of representing that there. And so then we'll be able to automatically distribute those proposals to the appropriate members, and then automatically receive the responses back from those members. And the really cool part about this is we can put this proposal management tool at any point in the value chain. And so what's interesting here is, we've done this work for INDATEL, and we've put the information out there so that they can receive a proposal for 500 locations nationwide, and then they can automatically split it out to the various members who would have locations in their particular territories. And then, and you guys have all received that, right? You're getting the spreadsheets that are being generated from this tool. And when you guys are receiving it, one of two things can happen. You're receiving a spreadsheet, and then you guys are having to, tear apart that spreadsheet and distribute it to your members at the end of the food chain there, and then receive those responses back. But if you fill in the spreadsheet properly, then you email it back to INDATEL, and INDATEL automatically imports it into their tool. They don't have to do anything else with it. And so that's what's really saved them a ton of time, is it's really taken the management and the manual, construction and deconstruction of spreadsheets and managing the, dozens of emails that go back and forth in terms of how to manage a proposal. And we've taken it all into a tool that allows us to basically automate the entire process. And the interesting part here is that, we've designed this as a tool so that if you're on the receiving end of one of those spreadsheets today, we can actually automatically import that proposal request into your proposal management tool if you had it. And so therefore, you would just receive a request from INDATEL and it would automatically populate in your tool. And then you click a button and you can automatically distribute it downstream to your members. And if they have it, they can automatically receive it, they update it, and then send it back. And all of this stuff can be done with, straight up automation handoffs all the way up and down the value chain, so that you guys can manage proposals without really having to do a whole lot. It's a few button clicks as opposed to, surfing through emails and spreadsheets as you're doing today with most of this stuff. So that's kind of what we've put in place here and what we wanted to talk a little bit about. And then I also wanted to address some things, and Justin, if you want to click to the next slide here, I wanted to talk a little bit about how it's licensed, because I know there's been a number of questions that we've received about, there are a number of members who already have SalesForce, and others who are considering SalesForce and not really sure what's going on here. And so I want to talk about how we've set this up so that you guys can leverage it. And it doesn't really matter if you already own SalesForce or if you don't. And what we've done is we've obviously leveraged the SalesForce platform because we want to take care of everything that's really good in SalesForce, and we want to leverage everything from SalesForce.
The access code you entered is invalid. You entered 408987312. Please re-enter your access code followed by the pound.
There.
Okay.
Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all right. So, the way we've developed this is we developed this because we knew that people needed to have a tool. And, because we develop products in Salesforce and in the Salesforce environment, what that means is that we're not trying to sell you a full Salesforce license and a full implementation of Salesforce. We just have a tool that basically becomes an add-on or a plug-in into your existing Salesforce environment. And so if you already have Salesforce, we can plug our tool onto your existing Salesforce enterprise licenses. And you don't need to buy anything else from Salesforce. You can just use our tool and you can go forward and use it that way. If you don't already have Salesforce, then you can purchase what's called a Force.com license. And a Force.com license is meant to be a product license. It is a much cheaper license than a standard Salesforce enterprise license by a lot. And we specifically chose to build our tool so that we could take advantage of that particular license type, so that if, especially those who are on the end CLEX and wanted to be able to participate in this, we didn't want to create a budgetary barrier for people because they would have to buy a lot of Salesforce license in addition to our tool. And so we built this on the Force.com license. And so it's set up in such a way that, if you don't have Salesforce, you can purchase the Force.com license, which is a cheaper license. In addition, if you already have Salesforce enterprise licenses, but you want to enable new people to leverage our tool, then you can purchase new Force.com licenses, again, at a cheaper price point, and you can allow those people to leverage our tool. They wouldn't be the same people who have the standard sales licenses that you have today, but it's a way that you can extend the footprint of what you're doing in Salesforce and get new people to be able to handle the proposal management tool. So that I wanted to talk a little bit about that, because I know we've received a lot of questions about, people have been seeing demos of Salesforce, and everything looks very different when you're looking at an enterprise edition and installation of Salesforce versus what you see in our tool and what you see today. And the reason that our stuff looks very different is because we have leveraged this Force.com license so that we can make it available for anyone to use. So that's kind of the idea of what we've got here and how this is set up. And I'm going to turn it over to Justin now, because I think he has a few things he wants to talk about how they've used it, and then he's going to do a quick demo of it for those of you who haven't seen it. So Justin, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, listen, thank you. And I'm going to back up a couple of slides, because if you look at this slide, the proposal management tool, and all these intricate pieces that are automated today, each step in that was manual for us, and it was extremely painful. We're a sales team of 2 covering the entire nation, and you guys, I'm sure, are it's so granular in your states and your regions that I'm sure that you guys are always probably limited on your resources as well. And some of the members have seen this piece on all the touch points, and how we took literally an example, one site, one opportunity, and started looking at all the touch points that we had and how painful that whole process was with us and our member, and the follow-ups, and it's just excruciatingly painful. And today we thought, modern businesses can't function this way. And for us, Salesforce, a lot of times sales reps hear the term Salesforce and they get concerned that it's a micromanagement tool, that managers are just using it to manage the number of calls and number of things. For INDATEL, it's part of our process, and it's an important part of it. It's not something that we go back and report in. It's something that we use to automate and send out all our quotes. So everything we do is specifically done through the tool. So again, high level, today we can simply put sites into the tool. It sends them out automatically to our members. It sends them out to any type 2s if we want type 2s to help us with the project. It also gives us full visibility into the entire process. And the big piece for us is that follow-up, the reminders. And I'm sure many of you are overwhelmed with the number of quote requests, but just having a friendly reminder letting you know, hey, look, this is due in 2 days, this is due in 24 hours. And if it's something that's not a good fit, when our members say, Justin, this is a no bid, we can simply click a box and it takes you off the harassment chain. And you know what I'm talking about if you've been out there and been on the harassment chain. So why did we do it? Really, it was better feedback, being able to do periodic reviews moving forward with our members, getting valuable market intelligence, understanding, where we can provide value, and learning to conserve some of our resources. So a part of our project is each time we get these buildings quoted, there's a record, and now we can add that to our near net list. And it really helps us as far as moving forward, qualifying sites, being able to bring you sites that are more likely to land. Lately, it's been kind of a shotgun approach as we collect this data. Here at the end of the year, we're going to be able to report on it and even share data with our members as well to help us all make decisions collectively that are more strategic. Now I'm going to stop here and pause. Got quite a few folks on the phone, and I want to open it up for a little discussion before I go into the demo. At this point, is there anyone that has questions? No questions? Is there anybody on here, just out of curiosity, that is using SalesForce.com today?
Yeah, Bluebird Network is.
Bluebird is? Okay. All right.
AFN is.
AFN? Thank you. Well, for those that are using a Salesforce today, when I show you this demo, you're going to see it's different. We're using the Force license. So let me go ahead and see if we can bring up my Salesforce. Are you able to see my web screen here with salesforce.com?
Yep.
Oh, wonderful. So I'm going to take us through a scenario where we receive a quote request. Everything we do starts with this inbound quote request. We're able to simply go in, create a new quote request. And this, unfortunately, guys, I don't have a sandbox, so this is going to go out live to members. So let's do this. Test, disregard. Please disregard. And then let's make up a customer. We can pick one. We will say that this is for Cable One. And we can, and you see this screen where we can select. So if you have multiple reps that work in the system, then you're able to designate, so for this one, I will use, it's mine and then my requested due date. So when do I need to get this back to the customer? Let's say they said, Justin, we need it back by next Friday, but I need you guys to get it back to me by the 20th. So there's a couple of date fields there. I can make it effective the 21st. When does it expire? And then I simply go in. We'll say it's a 10 meg service, 3-year term, and we save it. So this is the beginning of an inbound quote request. And the system is extremely intuitive. So if I start typing in an address, let's say Lawrence Street, West Aikens, and the zip code. Heck, let's add another site. Let's add one more, just to give us more of it, because most of the stuff, actually, pretty much everything we do is going to be multi-state, usually national, sometimes just regional. So we've got our addresses in here. If there's a specific location A we need to send it to, we can simply click this and add the location A. Now, one thing that we've added is a notes field where we can put notes in and do not bid, just a system test. And then some notes we keep internal. Everyone on this call is a member, either directly or indirectly, of INDATEL. So if you receive a quote request from us and maybe we're looking to use zone pricing, maybe there's some proprietary notes we don't want the type 2s to see, maybe, it could be a host of things, we can simply click a box and have the notes only show up on the member quote, not the type 2 quotes. So I can also have the notes easily, if we've got a bunch of sites, click this box, and then they all every site will receive the same note, because there could be notes that are specific. But again, not getting too far into the weeds, once I decide that, yes, I want this to go to all the type 2s, if we have members that overlap in states and we want secondary states. So let's say we have some overlap in Florida with a couple of members that can serve sites in Florida. By clicking request secondary states, both members would see those sites in Florida. Now that I'm ready, I simply send the quote request. And so what's going to happen now is these quote requests have come out. And here are all the folks that received these down here. So that means that an email went out, that members and type 2s are receiving them. I'm going to drag my inbox over. So there are all the quote request emails that just went out. Now think about this from a time management standpoint. How long would it take for you to research the various type 2s or the other providers or whatnot and send that out? So to do the work once and get credit for it 14 times is pretty awesome. And some of you that work with members, I got to tell you, type 2s actually serve us well in many states where it takes a while to get the quote back, you know, because for whatever reason, the member, you know, their member may be a little slow at returning quotes. We actually have one site where a type 2 has held our place in line, and when the order comes, we're able to swing it to the member, but that stays here. So with that, these are the emails that have gone out. Now, once these are out, for us, it's pretty easy. We can manage provider quotes. So let's say that Spirit and Planners both no bid it. I can simply click that box, and now they have been removed from the harassment chain. So if any of you have ever received harassment chain after you've no bid, then that's my fault. I didn't get in there and click it. But let's say TDS gave us a bid of $500 with a 250 NRC, and let's say Windstream gave us a bid with a 400. You enter in the sites here, or we could actually respond using the spreadsheet. So what happens is on the spreadsheet, bring this over, I can simply type in the MRC or the NRC, save it, and then send that back to response at INDATEL services, and it automatically loads in the back end. So there's no manual process required with that. Now I'm going to stop right here. Brian, you had mentioned earlier the ability to have this flow all the way through so that it may even eliminate the need for the member to touch it.
Right. If they have the tool, then what would happen is that these locations would just automatically populate, right? It becomes an inbound quote request for them. And then they would be able to go in and select, you know, just like you were selecting which members and which type 2s and all that stuff was getting it, the members would be able to go in and select which of their selects that they want to send it to. And so, you know, because the spreadsheet can auto-populate into their tool, all they would have to do is go in and do exactly what you're doing here. Decide which ones I'm going to send it to, click the button, and then send that spreadsheet on down to their end customer, or I'm sorry, their end provider. And so at that point, you know, there's no data entry whatsoever. They're going to get all of this data. They're going to know that it's a 10 meg, 3-year term service, and then when they send it off, they'll be able to send it to whichever carriers are applicable.
Yeah, and keep in mind, folks,
how does the member get notified that that's been sent and shows up if we had this tool? How do we know that something's been sent to us?
A couple of ways. You'll either, by the time, if this actually is working continuously, you're probably just going to be in this tool and you're going to see it, but we'll also send you notification emails to say that, you know, this particular quote has arrived, so you can see the emails in there. But there will become a point at which that probably sending you emails is more like sending you spam as opposed to something useful, right? You're just going to be in the tool and you'll see it.
Hey, this is Brian Duffner with Bluebird. A quick question because I don't get the emails. So when you're sending these out, Justin, and how do you call out where you want the NNI? So like your NNI location with GTT may be different than your NNI location with Spirit or whatever. If these are all if both providers are in the same state.
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
same
that's a
for
great.
same with our same with some of our member companies that we have multiple touch points, and depending on where it falls, what market it falls in, they like the traffic to go to this NNI versus another.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So in here, let's say that, for instance, in South Carolina, the only place I could meet Spirit is in Ashburn. So I could put it in here. But let's say we were in both Ashburn, we were in Marietta, we were, we had several other pops like you do. You can populate that field. And so now you'll notice here it says Ashburn pop. And so, yeah, you can actually put in that location there as well, and it'll send it out directing the member. And we do that. We had one that went to SDN today that I populated for Chicago because that's where we're meeting the requester. That's the only place that us and the client meet. And they said, do you want it in Minneapolis? It's a little cheaper. Well, yeah, we'll take it in Minneapolis. We've got transport. So it's, whatever we got to do to land it for the member. So great question, Brian.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So back here, and you know what, Brian, you may be a good example. You have an enterprise team, and maybe they're working on an opportunity that traverses a couple states, and you may have CenturyLink and Altice and Charter, just various carriers that you could possibly run those circuits through. But what I like about all this data is it's housed back here. I can quickly look and say, okay, you know what? This is off net anyway. We're trying to bundle this deal to win everything for our members. It's a low price. Let's add this to the bundle to get our costs down overall. I can save it. And now when I go back to my inbound requests, it's got it in here, TDS Metrocom and Unity Fiber, and it shows as quoted. I can add MRC in here, or they just added a markup field here that I can go in, and if I type in 10%, it'll automatically put that margin on there. And then when I'm ready to send the quote, it's one of those things I can, whatever I want to do with, let's say I want to put a note on here, this does not include cross connects. Save. And then create the quote. I can create the service order if it's a win. I can report on all these fields. I can run a report that shows, you name it, we can report on it as far as buildings, as far as of the number of sites that we sent out to specific members, how many were a good fit versus how many were no bid. There's just, once you have the data, you can make yourself crazy with it. But again, for us, we're not using it to micromanage the reps. If we have to do that, then we hired poorly. This is about bringing data back that we can leverage to sell more deals. And again, as you can see, this is the system we work in. This isn't I've worked in a lot of sales positions where you go out, you bust your ass all day, and then at the end of the day, you're like, crap. If it's not in SalesForce, it didn't happen. So now I'm just sitting in there entering a bunch of stuff in there and the notes may or may not be good by the end of the day or the end of the week, depending on how much trouble I'm in. So that's one thing that when you're talking SalesForce, even some of the members I've talked to, some of the reps get scared, like, oh my goodness, you know what? This is not a micromanaging tool for you. This is just a platform to run your business more efficiently. So with that, I can go here. Let's say it closes. I've got a verbal, and it adjusts the dollar amounts. So it's one of those things where we can go and we can change it to 1, whatever we want to do. Just we go. So now with that, does anyone have any questions at this point? No questions?
Wait, now I got a question. This is Jade with Bluebird.
Hey, Jade.
Based on a little bit ago, just a demo. If you want multiple terms bid, can that be done in the same request, or do you need to fire off multiple requests for like 1, 3, 5 year terms?
Great question. So Jade, right here on this particular request, I could have simply pushed over 1, 3, 5. So we've got multiple terms, we've got multiple bandwidths we could throw over the fence as well. So right here are the ones I can select and move over. I can move them back. So yes, you do have that ability when you send it out to choose multiple bandwidths and multiple terms as well.
Right on. So does that just show up as multiple line items on the spreadsheet, like a line for 10 meg at 135, a line for 20 meg at 135, all for the same AZ location or something?
Yes. So if we had done this on this particular opportunity where you see Aiken, South Carolina, if we had asked for a 5-year term, you would actually see another line here with the 5-year term, in this spot. So you would see that line item twice. So they're only going to order one, right? So, when they order that site, they're going to say, okay, we're going to go with the 3-year term. So what we do is we essentially you lost the 1 year, right? And that keeps it off for reporting purposes.
Oh, right on. So
yeah,
this,
and then
this table that you're showing right now that has the MRC populated and I guess field for the NRC over here, is that based on a response, or where did that MRC and NRC come from?
Yes, and when I was in the back, I entered it manually as if somebody wrote it on a cocktail napkin versus using the automated system, and I entered it in there, and so I inputted that as just an example. And right here, let's say you have a markup that you're doing, add it here, save sites, and now once I do that, it's got the MRC total here and the NRC total here. Yeah, so it's added it to the totals, and then when you create your quote, it'll show that updated total, obviously,
so
here in the next screen.
This quote is what's being sent to customers then? What
Correct.
we're looking at right now? Okay.
Yes.
Can you go back at the tool for a second?
Sure.
Where did you select who of your members it gets sent to? Right. Oh, right there.
That's a great point. So let's go to Bluebird. Jade, may I use Bluebird as an example?
Yeah, go nuts. It'll probably get sent to Brian. I'll have to deal with it.
Oh no, no. I'm just going to show you where we.
Thanks, Jade.
No, I'm not going to send anything, I promise. So on the account record, right now your primary states are Illinois and Missouri.
Sure.
So anything in Illinois and Missouri, you guys are going to see automatically. And let's say you have bleed over into Tennessee or Arkansas or wherever, and you have network available there that's more secondary in nature.
Mm-hmm.
We could add those states here, and then when we click the secondary states button, you would see those opportunities as well.
So basically, when you're generating these, anything that has footprint in Missouri and Illinois automatically come to us. You don't have to deterministically select it.
Correct. It's all automated. Everything. Again, that process, on the PowerPoint, all those things that Brian has taken out of the equation. I mean, it's really helping us. So for us, a lot of times people are afraid that automation is going to, cost jobs. To be fair, for us, we're hiring a new rep January 1st because we now have a mechanism and a platform to build on. So this is gonna spur growth and allow us to scale. So yeah, with the old manual process, we were dead. You can't scale 27 manual emails for one site. I mean, there's no way. There's just not the math, the money. It never works. Never works. So,
yeah. So if you have, so I'm trying to think about in my mind how this can apply to us. Your primary states, Illinois and Missouri, obviously go to us. Does it go to anybody else? And I guess what I'm trying to ask is, if we were to try to implement this tool, we operate obviously in Illinois and Missouri. Does it have more granular primary settings, like
for you? Yes.
Or something?
You can have that written. So that's where Brian comes into play. He can customize this because your business is different than ours, so he can actually tweak it to by, I don't know if you need it by zip code, by county, or however you need it. That's the piece he can do to help you.
Okay, and then let's say and then maybe this is going to be more a question for Brian then. Let's say whatever boundaries we determine are appropriate, it needs to get sent to 3 different off-net providers, CenturyLink, Comcast, and Windstream, whatever. Do those all get sent like automatically like this? Like how in Justin's example, it just gets sent to whoever's keyed primary, so they would each see an identical thing, only directed towards their own company?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, and again, you may have specific rules about how you need to do this, but what we would want to do is we would want to set up as much automation as we could to be able to define the territories that are appropriate. And so based on the address or whatever criteria we have, then we'd send it to the appropriate recipient.
Yeah. Do you have a version of this, or that sounds great, but for simplicity, do you have a version where you can just manually select who it goes to?
Well, you know what? I can go ahead and on this particular example I did, I could have just said members, and I clicked additional boxes though, so just so we could have more in the. So when I clicked, if I would have just sent this out and not check these boxes, then Spirit and Planters would have been the only ones that saw this quote request. So that's it.
I guess what I'm going for is, like, if I don't know if we don't know the region and the players in there, maybe I want to just kind of carpet bomb it to 5 different potential people that might be able to serve the location, without having database logic saying, I know it's AT&T, Cox, and Windstream, or whatever my examples are.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Just manually select who I want to send it to.
Yeah, if you need it to go that way, we can let you make your selections manually for how to do it. This is basically how we set it up for Justin, because we wanted to be able to let him just be able to click and go, because he needed to be able to move through this quickly.
Sure. Or if nothing else, maybe a manual override to add carriers to the automated distribution. Okay.
Yeah, we can put new things in here to customize the way you need to have your business logic. We can help you do that, but the bones are here to be able to work with, so we can put whatever you want in there.
So something I didn't quite follow yet either. I don't know if it showed and I didn't catch it or not. That how the responses come back into the system. So you distribute it out to whoever receives it. They put in their MRC, NRC, and NNI location or whatever. Is that just an email response with attachment spreadsheet to you, Justin?
Yeah. So, well, let me show you. Let me get in here and let me find my. Sorry.
Yeah, Justin, while you're pulling that up, when you see the spreadsheet here, there are some key fields that are part of that spreadsheet that tell us exactly which record it belongs to in Justin's Salesforce instance. And so when you send that email response back, that's where we have our tool. It's called our spreadsheet monitor, that is listening to a specific email address, and you know how to decode this spreadsheet and apply it directly to the record that it belongs with.
Oh, right. That's pretty nice. Huh.
Yeah, so when
All right,
if you launch up that spreadsheet, and you can see there's some, kind of some gibberish numbers in there, but those are our record keys, so we know exactly where to put that number when it comes back to us.
okay. Then
Yeah, so
Justin
Are those spreadsheets?
yeah.
Do you keep a record of the actual spreadsheet that was sent, just in the case that becomes, say, you get a quote back, you send the order out, and then all of a sudden the billing comes for that and it doesn't match the quote, and you got to go back to the carrier and say, wait a minute,
Yeah,
here's your quote you provided, it's not matching what you're billing.
yeah, the
Is there
spreadsheet
a physical record of that?
Yeah, it'll attach to that record in Salesforce, so you'll be able to go back and see that spreadsheet that came in with it.
right. So, and it also,
Cool.
so Rusty, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, well, so with that, not only does it go into the system, we have it set up where our sales team gets a copy of it as well when it comes in. So let's say somebody, doesn't save it in the right format or whatnot, not a big deal. We're checking it, we spot check it. So yeah, and on here, as these go out, it tells you, save it as this file name and it goes to this address. So we've, I went in there and I updated it. I put in, okay, keeping it. I saved it. And let's say I want.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah.
See those first 3 column IDs on there where it says inbound quote request ID and those numbers there? Those are record IDs in Salesforce. So I know right where to put it when that comes back into us.
Yeah. So on this, I'll go ahead and hit response. And here we go. And stay here. I'll get out of it so it can update. Oh, I didn't attach it. My fault. Sorry, guys. I only like to do this on live demos, of course. There we go. Sorry, guys. There we go. Now, when I get in here, what's going to happen once it goes out, and assuming I attach it this time, I'll get a response that I'll get the actual email, and then I'll also receive. So I'm on the sales team. I've got your response. Let's say this is yours, Rusty. I got your response here, so I can check it. I can spot check it. But it also tells me that these files, email files to process. So that also lets me know that it did go in. But I still, I like to check things and make sure they're in here. So let's go back into our test opportunity. And I go to Manage Provider Quotes. And there it is. That one we did under Cox Communications. So let's say we're going with Cox Communications instead of Unity Fiber. I click the box, save the updates, and now it's part of my inbound quote request. So let's say that was a member instead of Cox Communications. Members, they may, we're here to sell your networks, not cable cos. So if your quote comes in, you're higher, we're gonna figure out a way to hopefully bundle and work this thing out so that we can get it done. But now I've got your quote in here. I can mark it up, do what I need to do. When I go to manage provider quotes, one of the cool things for us to do is we can report on it. We know, okay, that wasn't a good fit for Spirit or for planners. We did receive responses from these folks. The ones that say request sent mean, you know, we never got any response back from them. So, I mean, there's just a lot of data. Being able to report on that is huge as well. How do you guys feel about this? Now, I mean, again, this is INDATEL, and we're painting with a broad brush right now. For you folks, again, this would be more granular because this is your backyard, and these are the telcos that you work with day in, day out, as well as your partners.
No, it looks very interesting from us, or from my perspective here at Bluebird. We're looking for some similar functionality, just a matter of how much customization would be required to adapt it to our needs would be the question. We can follow up with ProCore on that.
Very well, very well. And one of the nice things is INDATEL bit the bullet on this, so to speak. So a lot of these processes and things, you know, we paid much of the overall development costs. So these tweaks, I think you'll find to be very palatable. I don't want to badmouth, you know, the product we had before, but comparing this to MasterStream, my goodness, that was definitely a challenge using that product. And it got so challenging that we found that nobody was using it and everybody was doing everything manually again. So this is really this has been a game changer, and the office loves it. We're a lean staff. When we're out in the field and we're doing things and the service order comes in, the service delivery folks can quickly determine who we need to get those service orders to. It's really, this has empowered the sales team and gets us out and in front of folks, and versus just being glorified email pushers all day.
Sure.
So with that, we're probably going to wind this thing down. We're at our 45 minutes. Before I hand it over to Brian, were there any final questions?
Yes,
right,
I had
Brian?
just a general question,
Yes.
Justin, and unfortunately it looks like my sales engineer had to drop off, but what's the difference in the licensing fees between the ProCore version and a full SalesForce version?
I'll let Brian answer that.
Yeah, and we would want to tailor it to, you know, whatever your particular environment is, but I can talk the difference between a full Salesforce license and a Force.com license. So again, this is just the Salesforce piece of it, not the tool. But the enterprise edition of Salesforce is about $150 a month per user. The Force.com license is about $25 a month per user. So that gives you an idea. There's actually a pretty dramatic difference in the cost of entry in terms of what you're getting. You're still getting all the Salesforce power. You're just not getting all of the tools that are enabling a true sales environment. And that's where we can apply our tool instead, and that lets you do all the proposal management stuff that you saw there. And it lets you do it on top of the Salesforce platform, which is why we like it, because Salesforce is such a powerful, it's a powerful CRM, and you get all the reporting and all the things that you want, but you can get it at a price point that's much cheaper than a traditional Salesforce license.
So if we were to just get like your version, would that just give us the proposal management?
Correct.
Portion?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
And yeah, and you know, our tool does have some costs to go with it as well, but we would want to tailor that to understand your environment before we would give you a quote on that. But it's not going to be anywhere close to what you're going to be paying for a full enterprise Salesforce license.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Well, any other questions before I hand it over to Brian? All right. Well, Brian, listen, if someone's interested in having a more intimate discussion and one-on-one, what do they need to do?
I think all my contact information is on here. So, you know, please catch us here. And then Justin, I don't know if it's possible for you to send this deck out to everyone just so they've got that as a hard copy as well. But we'd certainly be happy to talk to everyone and understand what it is that they need, and figure out how we can help out. Because again, I know that this has been something that, from Justin's perspective, it's been really pretty much a game-changing thing for them, and we'd certainly like to be able to bring the same kind of thing to you guys.
Yeah, it absolutely has. So I tell you what I'll do as a takeaway. I'm going to send everybody a copy of the presentation. In case you didn't know, I'm going to keep a copy of this. So if people had to leave early, I'll have the presentation, a recording of it, stored in our member area of the website. So if you go to our new website, INDATEL.com, click on member login, you can set up your own username, log in, we approve you, and you'll be able to access resources such as this. So again, the PowerPoint will go out to all of you, and you'll have access to the recording as well. Thank you very much for joining us today. And again, if you have any questions or if you want to run through mine, I'm happy to do a demo as a one-off as well. So again, but Brian's a wonderful resource. He's actually a business partner for INDATEL now, and we appreciate your time today, Brian.
Well, thank you, everyone, and thank you, Justin, for allowing me to be on here. Appreciate it very much.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.